Hey, what's up, everybody? Billy Ward here. Welcome to Shift, an online educational program consisting of 7 master teachers. Within this first tier, we're going to take a look at this moment in time, this moment in history, and help you process it by introducing today Dr. Shannon, a meditation expert, a studio owner, an entrepreneur, a mother, and many other things. Shannon, so excited for you to be here with us today. Thanks so much for spending some time with us.
So happy to be here.
Awesome. Can you describe for us and for the audience a little bit about what's going on for you during this moment in time and how you're moving through this crisis and pandemic?
Yeah, I feel like there's been like different waves of emotions and feelings with this. As a mother of two young boys who are in school, I have, the homeschooling stuff, the isolation. Luckily, I feel very lucky that I am working and still working, so I'm busy with that. And it's been in the beginning, you're kind of like in shock and like, this can't really be happening. Like, there's no way. And then kind of like anxiety, like, oh my God, this is so upsetting. What if we get sick? And, all these things. And then it's kind of, then you get into like, I got into this like feeling like just down, like, oh, like never ending. And then I think it starts to creep into your relationships with yourself, your relationships with others. So I feel like there's just been a whole bunch of different waves of feelings. I'm trying to ride them all. Um, and I think like what's gotten me through this is like just taking it down to the basics.
Mm.
Like what can I do? Like, and I, one of my really good colleagues and friends who works at the Life is Good Kids Foundation has this awesome way of phrasing it. And I've kind of tweaked it my own, but have the 7 Shans. And these are, this is funny. So the first thing that's important for me is hydration, right? That's the first Shan,
I was like,
hydration.
Sean. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
catch up.
I
Okay.
know.
Okay, cool. I'm giving to us
Hydration.
hydration.
Second is oxygenation. Get outside, get some fresh air if you can. I know people in New York City really can't even do that, but maybe crack a window open if you can. Nutrition, making sure that you're getting, food that makes you feel good, that energizes you and doesn't kind of take you down. Socialization, making sure you're connecting to friends and even just people that might be in need, like some people that that are living alone that might need a phone call, like helping. The best way out of hopelessness is through helpfulness. So really helping people and kind of reaching out. The next one is meditation, my favorite of all of the Shans. Huge believer in meditation. We can probably get into that a little bit later. And then the next one is hibernation. So sleep. So important. If you don't get sleep, if you don't get high quality sleep, it just throws you off. So those are the things that are keeping me afloat right now.
Dude, I love the 7 Sean's. I've never heard of them. And part of my desire to do stuff like this is to continue to learn and to grow. And
Yeah.
what an incredible framework by which to approach this moment in time on a daily basis.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Those are really incredible. You also said something in there. The easiest way or the fastest way out of hopelessness is to helpfulness.
Yeah. Yeah.
I totally agree. And I get it. But can you share what's really behind that? Like, what's going on psychologically for people when they're able to kind of step outside themselves, when they're hurting and help somebody else?
Yeah.
Like, can you,
I think that when you're feeling depressed or anxious, you're so in your own orbit,
yeah,
right? And you can't get out of it. And so it becomes this like, whether you call it a hamster wheel or a black hole, you can't get out of
black
it.
hole, black
Yeah,
hole,
black hole
black
for
hole.
you. Yeah, totally. And so and so a step out of it, if you can just break out of that cycle a little bit, it can make a huge difference, because when you help others, it pulls you out of your own vortex and it makes you feel like you have a purpose and that there's you can make a meaningful difference in someone's life. So I sometimes tell my clients in my private practice who are feeling really low and in that black hole, to just get a bunch of quarters if they have it, if they have access to it, or whatever. I don't know if meters are really even used quarters anymore, but
They
take
do.
their credit card and just fill people's meters. Just go around the town that you live in, and just, I mean, you don't have to spend a lot, like $2, whatever. Even just one person's meter, it just pulls you out of yourself, like, and it lifts you up. Like, I did something good today,
I
you know?
just I love the quarter idea. It's so simple, and I love
Yeah,
what you say about, when we're struggling or feeling hopeless, we get so deep down and on this void or this hamster wheel.
yeah,
And because of the isolation, nobody's there to say, hey, dude, you're being irrational. Like, those thoughts you're entertaining are not fucking true.
you're not true.
And yet, if you continue to isolate them, the likelihood of you not experiencing them, it isn't going to go away. So I
Yeah,
love this idea of kind of stepping outside of yourself and being helpful in an effort to kind of diminish some of the hopelessness.
right, exactly.
Awesome.
Mhm.
What about the meditation piece? I think there's a lot in there,
Yeah.
and I'm wondering, Shannon, your experience in working with people, and maybe your own personal experience. Why do people have such an aversion to meditation?
So I think, we live in a society, right now, in this modern world, maybe before the pandemic hit, but where it's never been easier to distract yourself from yourself. Social media, TV, information, just information overload. Um, even, yeah, just, diving into other people's stuff so you don't have to deal with your own stuff. I think that there's an aversion to feeling pain, anger, sadness, frustration, that we don't want to feel it because it's uncomfortable. And in our modern world, it's so easy to get out of that uncomfortable feeling by diving into something like, oh, let me just scroll on my feeds, and so that you don't have to feel your feelings. So we've kind of conditioned ourselves that feeling angry, sad, frustrated, they're bad, and that we shouldn't feel them. And so we avoid, but then that what those feelings build and build and build, and then it's just like, it's not a good thing.
And those feelings, if not addressed or dealt with, if we're not comfortable with the uncomfortable, in your experience as a psychologist,
Mhm.
what happens then? This shit's building, and how does that come out then in your
Well, like,
experience?
if you blow air into a balloon, you keep on blowing air into a balloon, what's going to happen?
It's gonna pop.
It's going to pop. Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, so people, there's, I think that I've never seen more anxiety. I think it's an epidemic. Panic attacks, self-harm, cutting, substance abuse, all of that, to kind of just, almost as a way to numb out and not feel your feelings. And so I think why meditation, to get back to your question, why people are sort of a little bit hesitant to get into meditation, is because they don't want to face themselves, because that means also maybe facing the uglier, the darker sides of ourselves that
Mm.
would feel kind of uncomfortable.
I love what you're saying, and I couldn't agree more. So, Shan, how do we motivate people to understand the importance of this slowing down? Um,
Well, I think, it's interesting, this whole COVID crisis. I mean, it's just, there's so much grief and so much, difficult emotions with it, and so much loss. On the other side of it is, it's sort of providing an opportunity. In the Chinese symbol of crisis is also means opportunity. And so it's an opportunity to dive into ourselves, our full selves. And there's this concept of like emotional agility. And it's really being able to be with the full spectrum of your emotions in a way that is compassionate and curious. So whereas we were in a society where could just get busy and not feel your feelings, now we have time,
we do.
and we are faced with ourselves. And I'm finding in my private practice, like, really it's all about self-management right now, and facing what's going on. And so I think, and I hope that we're moving in a direction where we're starting to understand and realize how much our mental health matters. And hopefully that is a little bit of an awakening that we need to be able to be with ourselves and our emotions. And we need to learn tools to navigate difficult situations like we're in. And meditation is one of those tools.
Mm. During, as we talked about meditation and the parallels to this moment in time, I'm wondering what your outlook is for us, kind of as we take this world pause from somebody who's got a lot of depth in terms of her own awareness, but also a lot of depth and knowledge and grace just about the human experience. What do you make of this world pause and this reset that we're kind of moving through?
I mean, listen, we have not been treating our earth well. We have not necessarily even been treating ourselves well. And this is just it's just a, whoa, it's a pause like, wow, okay, we've got to do better. And so, and I think it's putting into perspective that we need, yeah, things need to change. There's got to be a shift in the way that we interact inside ourselves and with others. And so, I think it makes you think about what really matters, like the most important things. It's like we're having more family time. People are having dinner, you know, dinner with their family members where they weren't doing that before, or people are reaching out and Zoom, doing Zoom dinners or whatever it is. But there's a certain level of like, okay, the playing field is leveled, right? We're all going through this together, no matter what your circumstance is. And, we need to look at, okay, so what matters for us right now in this moment? And how do we be the best version of ourselves within this crisis? So, in a way, I see it as an opportunity.
Awesome. You mentioned the Chinese symbol being both, crisis and
Yeah.
opportunity. And one of the ways that I've been trying to look at this moment in time is through the hero's journey, which is very similar to the symbol you mentioned. At the
Hmm.
top of the journey is the call to crisis or to adventure. But
Hmm.
then you kind of step into the unknown world and you experience a lot of trials and tribulations, failures and successes. But then you learn something in that space, which is kind of where we are right now. Before we
Hmm.
return to the known world, normal is the
Right.
button on my washing machine, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be a shift. What is it that you hope we take as a world, as a culture, as a society from this period of isolation and unknown back into whatever normal is, in the near
Mhm.
future?
I really hope that people are just kinder to themselves and kinder to others, and grateful for the things that we have. Like, I've never been more grateful to have food in my refrigerator and toilet paper in my bathroom.
Toilet paper's a big one.
Right? Yeah, it's a big one. And so, so often we go through life and we have all these things. We're so lucky in so many ways, but we don't always see that we're lucky. We don't always take the time to like, wow, this is like, I'm so happy, like, that I'm able to do this. I'm able to spend time, in my house. I'm able to organize things a little bit more. I have a roof over my head. I have people that care about me, love me, and those, just getting back to the basics of what really matters. I think that's, yeah. So I just really hope that people can be just a little bit more kind and grateful.
Yeah, no, this whole podcast is really to the core of what really matters and living in a
Mhm.
way that is deliberate and meaningful. You
Right.
had mentioned to me in a prior conversation one of your intentions with introducing people to meditation.
Mhm.
I don't remember. I don't know if you remember, but do you remember what is your intention in terms of talking to people about meditation? Where do you hope to?
Don't remember what I said to you, but as a therapist, I have access to only so much in a person, right?
Yes.
And really only so much that they want to share or how far they want to go, or and so you can drag a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So, and I'm a huge believer of therapy. I have my own therapist. I do, I walk the talk, but in, in, I feel like meditation accesses a deeper part of the self that I don't have access to as a psychologist. And that it can be such a healing addition to therapy. And it can, that I feel like the combination of the two is the greatest, like is like the power couple of healing and transformation.
That was similar to what you answered in
Oh,
our
good.
prior conversation. So I'm glad it's also in alignment with where we're at. This idea of connecting people to knowing themselves, like
Yeah.
it's just it's so powerful. So I'm a beginner. Let's just say I'm a beginner. I've never meditated. What, Shannon? What do I do? How do I start this practice? I have the time. I'm home. I'm
Yeah.
stressed. Things that are
Right.
going on in my life are amplified due to this moment in time.
Yeah.
Where do I begin?
Well, I think it's important to have a teacher. And you know, I own a meditation studio, so I'm biased, but I would say sign up for a class at Quell, and try and have a teacher who is on a, right now in a Zoom situation that you can meditate with and then ask questions. So I think that is really to just start somewhere. There's also some good apps out there that you can use, but I think having a live teacher is really powerful, and doing it with a group of people, or even having a friend and a meditation buddy to start it out. But I mean, I don't know if you want me to get into this, but I always have like 5 essentials of meditation that I tell beginners.
Let's do it.
Okay, so the first, like, because there's a lot of misconceptions about meditation, and I think that's what kind of makes people feel like, I don't know, I can't do, I'm not going to do it right or whatever. So the first misconception is that you're not supposed to have any thoughts when you meditate. You're supposed to empty your mind of thoughts. That's completely impossible. You can't do that. It's like telling your eyes not to see. Like, you can't do it. It's your brain is an organ that's meant to think. So the idea is not to empty your mind of thoughts, but just to simply notice what's going on in your mind. So you'll be meditating, and then your mind will think about your grocery list. And then you try to come back to whatever it is that you're coming back to. Oftentimes it's breath. So grocery list, breath, uh, relationships, breath. So it's just this constant refocusing of your attention and your thoughts on the present moment.
Gotcha.
So that's the first one. The second one is just not to try too hard. This isn't something that requires effort. Like, I'm gonna do a great meditation today. I'm gonna really kill it. Like, you can't do that. Like, I mean, you can do that in a workout, right? But it's different.
I want
It's
to
an
get this
effort.
meditation. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
no,
man.
no.
Um, yeah. So just try not to make it more effortless. It's sort of an
Mhm.
allowing of what to come up, and not so much forcing. The third is let go of any expectations that you have. You're not going to levitate. You might like it, you might not like it. Just allow it to be whatever it is, and to just ask the questions that you want to ask your teacher or friend that meditates. Um, the next one is my favorite. It's just to be kind to yourself. I mean, we are not kind to ourselves most of the time. I mean, I don't know if you are really, but
I try, but I struggle. I struggle.
yeah. I mean, I do too. I mean, and I say to my clients, like, if you treated your best friend the way you treat yourself in your own mind, like, how would that go over?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
like,
yeah. I
I know,
always flip it, Shan. I like if your
yeah,
best friend treated you the
yeah,
way that you're treating yourself, you would tell that
right.
friend to get lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, no way. So I know for me, like, I wouldn't have a best friend if I treated them the way I treat myself. Like, forget it. Like, I don't think I'd have friends. But yeah, so just to be kind, to notice, so just to notice what's going on in your mind, or when you're being like, you're not doing this right, you're never going to get this right, or whatever it is, that dark side voice, and just to notice it and just be like, is that really true? Like, maybe I could be a little bit kinder, maybe I could be a little bit more compassionate with myself. um so that's the fourth thing. And then the last thing I always say is just to stick with it. Like, meditation is like taking a vitamin, it's not like taking an Advil. So it's something that you do every day. You really don't need that much time. 5 to 8 minutes a day is fine, but just to take the time, And you'll start to notice differences if you commit to it kind of every day. um,
Shannon, what if I love these essentials.
yeah,
Sometimes I think just the idea or the word meditation or mindfulness, it's like over intellectualized by people that aren't doing it regularly. And I'm always like, dude, it's actually really simple. Like, I just want you to go sit in the woods and stare at a tree for 10 minutes. Just stare at the
yeah,
tree. Like, and if the laundry list comes in, address it, but then get back to the tree.
right,
you know.
yeah,
Which is really, really, it's incredible. And I've been to Quell. I've been
yeah,
one of your students, and I've worked with
yes,
a
yeah,
number of your teachers, and I would
yeah,
certainly recommend that place. The gentleness, the openness, the environment. It's really caters to this relationship and this compassion
yeah.
that we have with ourselves. So what if I hear your essentials, Shannon, and I'm like, but Shannon, I don't have the time for that. I'm busy. I'm a dad. I got jobs. I got
I can't
opportunities.
stand when people say they're busy because, like,
Cool.
who
That's why.
isn't? We're all busy. I listen, there's some statistic came out that people spend, and this is probably on the low end, but people spend an average of like 53 minutes on Instagram a day, and like 54 minutes of like on Snapchat a day. And I'm not asking you to stop social media, but I'm asking you to carve out like 5 to 8 minutes of that time to meditate. So people get lost in these voids of busyness because they're like on their phone, or they're looking, or they're getting some sort of weird thing down the internet, and like, or they're watching TV, or they're doing things like that, that you could just carve out a little bit of that time. When things were regular, I would drive to work. Now I'm an only parent to two little boys, and I've got a lot going on. Two, three businesses, and all this stuff. And I would drive to work, I'd sit in my car, and I would meditate for as long as I could until I had to get into the office. And so whether that was 5 minutes, 8 minutes, 20 minutes, I mean, I wouldn't be driving and doing this, I'd park it, and then
Sweet.
and that's kind of how I handled it.
Awesome. So I love your pet peeve around people that are busy, right? We're all
Yeah,
busy. One of my
yeah.
things is I was talking to my dad the other day and people say this all the time, I'm so tired. And I love when people who don't have kids say that, because I'm like, yo, you don't,
You
no
don't even
offense, but
know.
you don't even know what tired is anymore. As we wrap up, I'm just wondering out loud, and I want to give you the opportunity, Shannon. Is there anything that you want to share or speak about in terms of this moment in history that we haven't really touched upon?
Mm. I think just allow yourself to have good days and bad days. Try to not be so judgmental, and try to just be kinder to yourself. And the kinder you are to yourself, I think the more space there is to feel and kind of embody the fact that this is an opportunity.
I really I appreciate the simplicity of your perspective, because I think sometimes people falsely, they see somebody like you or your resume, and they think, oh, you're going to come out with all these big intellectual things, and you're just
Yeah.
asking for us to practice a little bit more self-compassion.
Yeah.
And then I've been hearing you say over and over again this idea that we have to be really conscious about how we're living, and rarely do people pause and stop and take a look and say, hey, what am I doing, and what am I doing with this moment in time,
Hmm.
coupled with this idea that we kind of have to be really considerate of the relationship we have with ourselves, all the time, all the time.
All the time. All the time. Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
you're an incredible person, an
Yeah.
incredible guest, somebody I'd certainly love to have back on, and
Anytime.
I really appreciate you being a part of Shift and this group of teachers. That there's just really an incredible energy amongst you guys, and I'm really
Mhm.
looking forward to see what unfolds as we move forward together with this
Yeah.
project.
Me too. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shannon. Thank you, everyone. Shift with Dr. Shannon. Much peace and love. Take care.